Agenda item number 3, and for everybody, we've got a change here. I just want to point out that this is basically from our prior practice. We're collapsing member announcements and correspondence into the same agenda item. So if you do have correspondence to receive you want to talk about, go ahead and mention it at this point. So anyway, commissioners may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. The commission will review and may discuss correspondence sent or received by the commission since the last regular meeting, and may provide copies of the exhibit for the exhibit file. Commissioners may provide hard copies of their correspondence for the written record. Correspondence sent or received by Secretary Mayor will also be discussed. So anyway, go ahead and open up for member items. Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple items, one of which I'd like the commissioners to think about for tomorrow on an item I want to review, our policy number 1 in reference to items number 15 and 16 when it's talking about action on those items. Our policy number 1 states that we have to have 2 readings, and some of this is referring to we might take some action before the second reading. If we had 2 readings, we'd go ahead and then do that as the following item. But reference tomorrow, you might want to go back and review commission policy number 1. We shouldn't be taking any action on those 2 items until we've had 2 readings, any kind of action. And I mean, if this, this was a couple meetings ago, I think, Mr. Chairman, you probably find that you would have been very upset if when I was chairman or the previous chairman, we would put something on there and try to have action just with an item with only 1 reading. So I'd just like to make that point. You could review that for tomorrow. Also, just under general member items, it's an interesting time of year right now. I run into a lot of sportsmen out there that I run by, and I think, the general observation that I get from is they're not too happy about a lot of stuff that's going on, specifically with what they're perceiving as a huge lack of game animals and possibly even too many tags. It's quite interesting. There's guides that come to me and told me, hey, I can't even guide in the places where I've got allocated because there's nothing there. It's not reasonable. There's people stacked up on Harrison Pass, for example, up there, and they're not finding anything. They're wondering why we're issuing these tags as we are. It's a real issue, and it's amazing how many people come in and speak about that, and everyone has all been on basically the same issue. Why are we issuing so many? We've got some issues with a number of animals, specifically deer. I've had actually some very positive remarks on the elk issue, as well as the pronghorn issue. The numbers of tags seem reasonable. People seem to be, not necessarily finding them by the plethora, but still reasonable amounts. That seems reasonable. There's a lot of people out there, and it's an interesting time of year as far as that is. A lot of good public input on that. Thank you.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I supplied support material for this to the cabs and the rest of the board, and I'd like to read this into the record. People in Endow, county advisory boards, and some members of this commission flat out deny that we have a predator problem in this state. I am quoting an article that just appeared in this month's Outdoor Life. I'm sure this science will not have any impact on the aforementioned people. Mountain lions in Connecticut, bears in Florida, wolves in Michigan, coyotes everywhere. We probably have more predators roaming America now than at any time since Daniel Boone blazed the wilderness trail. A southeastern study indicates that coyotes are taking more deer than hunters are. A 5-year study on fawn survival on the restricted 198,000 acre Savannah River Federal Nuclear Reservation in South Carolina suggests that less than a quarter of white-tailed fawns born in the spring survive until autumn. Coyotes kill the vast majority of the 3/4 that die, often within hours of their birth. lead researcher, John Kilgo, determined that about 80% of fawn mortality was from predators. Of that 80% of the predation was by coyotes. Any prey base can only take so much mortality before it starts to decline, says Kilgo. That is exactly what has happened to Nevada's mule deer. The article stated, "We didn't have any coyotes in South Carolina 20 years ago. Not only are they established now, but they are abundant." Well, Nevada has had an abundance of not only coyotes, but mountain lions for decades. I want to emphasize that this was a 5-year study, and I believe that should qualify it as science. Of course, this science will not be considered by the We Don't Have a Predator Problem group. By the way, the article also stated that a nursing female mountain lion will eat one whitetail every 3 to 5 days. In closing, I can just hear the naysayers now. This study was done on white-tailed deer, so coyotes and lions will have no effect on Nevada mule deer. I believe you could classify that as selective science used quite frequently by the naysayers. If these naysayers truly want to educate themselves, which they don't, I would suggest they get Wildlife Service's monthly newsletter, The Trap Line, just to see how bad the predator problem in this state. I am requesting that my comments and support data be included in the minutes of this meeting. And I would hope that our biologists are aware of this study. And I could also suggest a 3-bar study for them to peruse. And I was wondering if maybe WAFA could be made aware of this study and see if it qualifies as science as far as WAFA is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Howell. With regard to WAFA, I saw that on their agenda, I think this winter, they're going to have a predator, an item that they're going to be discussing. So, any other commission member items? Commissioner Drew.
Yes, Chairman, I believe there was a letter from Rue Goodnow regarding my status with Sparks Club prior to my appointment under the correspondence item supplied as support material. I'll be addressing that at the beginning of agenda item 5.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, remember, this is both member items and, when I say member items, I actually mean member items and correspondence.
Thank you. I should have mentioned earlier, I did receive a tremendous amount of correspondence on this issue, and I know the rest of the commissioners did. In the way of emails, I know most of them, if not all of them, got posted to the website. There was a huge amount. It was, some days it was 50-50 pro and con. Other days went one way or the other. There was a huge amount, and I've had the opportunity to review almost all, if not all. I know a couple probably came from the last day. I didn't get out, and I just like to ask the public. Remember, you're sending in public comment. Try to get at least do us at least 3 days before the meeting's the last day or two. It gets crazy. But prior to that, I think I've reviewed all of them. There was a huge amount of that. And one thing from those public comments that I would just like to say is some of them were critical of a certain biologist within the Department of Wildlife. And I'd just like to say, remember, whatever a biologist might bring before the commission, it's the commission's fault. If you want to blame something, blame the commission. Don't blame them. They bring us the lousiest science in the world and the best science in the world. It's the commission's role to decipher that, and if it's wrong and we follow it, it's our fault. If it's right and we follow it, it's their good quality. But the blame should rest upon the commission and not with the good biologists. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and make a comment with regard to the emails that we were getting with regard to the black bear permit regulation issue that we have, agenda item number 5. What we did is, because of the volume, and this was pro and con, we set up a part of our website, and so if these emails were coming into the commissioners, we as long as the word bear was in the subject line, we merely just forwarded them on to our information part of the website, so they got posted. If they didn't have bear in the subject line, we just added it. And so my process was to read all the emails and then go ahead and just immediately post them to the website. So anyway, I think we did a much better job this time around on getting all the emails read and recorded in the record. So anyway, one additional item. Because we do have folks out in the parking lot outside, I've been given instructions that when we are speaking, that we need to speak into the microphone. And so that goes for anybody that's with the department at this desk or up at the podium. So everybody, all commissioners, grab a mic when you're making your comments. Make sure you're speaking into the microphone so we get it. Now, are all microphones going out to the PA system? So they're all tied into the PA system? Because some of them, before it was just recording.
These are both sound and recorded,
Okay.
but you do need to speak. And I hope there should be enough slack to move on.
Okay. So anyway, the commissioners and public and Val, everybody will follow that. We'll make sure that everybody hears proceedings. Okay. Any further member items or correspondence from the commission? Okay, seeing none, I'll close that agenda item number 3 and